When I'm closing out my sermon on Death Through Deep Time Eyes, a 20-minute sermon, I'll usually quote the contemporary Native American poet Joy Harjo. She writes, "I can hear the sizzle of a newborn star and know that anything of meaning, of fierce magic is emerging here. I am witness to flexible eternity, the evolving past, and I know I will live forever as dust or breath in the face of stars and the shifting pattern of winds." After a sermon I gave and quoted Joy Harjo, a sermon on the Stardust component of Death Through Deep Time Eyes, I noticed that there was a woman sitting in the front row who was weeping. She came up to me right afterwards as I was stepping down when the service ended, and she said, "My son died 6 months ago, and what you just said gave me the first inkling of a way to move through my grief. Nothing has worked." I mentioned this to the minister afterwards, and the minister said, "Oh, not only did her son die, he was in college and he committed suicide." I mean, I don't even see how anyone can work through that grief, and yet this program somehow was helping with that. Science can be spiritually, practically nourishing. There was a Unitarian Universalist minister I talked with about 5 years ago who told me about doing a summer camp with another minister, Unitarian Universalist summer camp for teens. So there were 2 co-ministers there, and the teens were doing programs. Well, this minister says whenever she works with children, teens, adults, doesn't matter what age, she always does the We Are Made of Stardust program. Songs, the science of it, the periodic table. Well, she did that, and later that evening, she and her co-minister were wondering, where did all the youth go? Can't find them. Turns out they were out underneath the night sky, laying on the grass, with their feet touching in kind of a star formation, saying, "I think I'm from that star. I think I'm from that star." The next day, as they were doing private short counseling sessions with each of the kids would come into one or the other. There was a boy who came in and talked to her, and he said, "You know, I had come to this summer camp prepared to commit suicide. But after hearing that I'm made of stardust, it made that feeling go away." My favorite Stardust story, this is a little lighter. It just shows what a young age this can touch. Michael and I were doing a Unitarian Universalist summer camp over about a year and a half in between in Durango, Colorado. We did it once and then we came back another year. Well, the second time we came back, a young mother came running up to me and saying, Connie, I got to tell you a story about what one of my boys said based on what you said a year and a half ago when you were here. She said, "I brought my 2 sons to your We Are Made of Stardust program. One was 5 and the other one was only 3.5. I didn't think my 3.5-year-old was going to get anything from it. But listen to what he said just 2 weeks ago. I was telling my younger son, who's now 5, my younger son, I was telling him about something that had happened to our family in the past. And the son said, now I'm talking as a mom, my son said, "Mom, was I born yet?" "No." "Was I in your belly yet?" "No." "Oh, I must have still been stardust."
In the beginning was the great radiance, 14 billion years ago. Out of the fireball came simple hydrogen and helium from that great glow. Gravity swirled those gases into stars, white, yellow, blue, and red. But no dancing planets till the birth of silicon, calcium, iron, and lead. The first generations of ancestor stars squeezed primal gases into stone, into oxygen and into nitrogen, into calcium for antler and bone. Then they expired and launched back into space, atoms born of pressure and strife. So later generations of stars like our own sun could have planets and maybe even life. We are made of stardust. We are born from death. Greet your cousins who twinkle in the night. What do we savor in our brief flickering lives? What do we leave for our descendants' delight? Gravity swirl those gases into stars, red, yellow, blue, and white. What do we savor in our brief flickering lives? What do we leave for our descendants' delight? What do we savor in our brief flickering lives? What do we leave for our descendants' delight? What do we leave for our descendants' delight?